does technology help an ADD student in the sense that there's a lot of stimulation involved in technology? You could go on the Internet and get lost for days, I would imagine.
Oh, God, yes.
Is it a help or a hindrance to one who's easily distractible?
It can be a double-edged sword. Overall, though, it is a tremendous advantage, but you may need to put some safeguards in place. And that's where having a mentor or a coach or disabled students office can help you figure out what are the pitfalls to prevent you from, well, getting stuck in an internet chat room or instant messaging or something from 9 in the evening till 7 the next morning. But overall, technology is like having a portable coach with you these days. It's a tremendously exciting and positive time to have a creative mind or an ADD mind, because now we can have a device like a PDA or your cell phone or Outlook on your computer that can tell you when to do what. It can pop up alarms for you. It can even tell you when to eat and when to sleep. Now, for our minds, which are constantly tremendously hyper-focused in the moment or scattered all over the place, something that tells us when to do what and helps us to change gears can be a huge positive tool for us.
I wonder if teaching an ADD person is different. Have you talked with teachers?
Oh, yes.
Adjustments they have to make. Do they have to be more concrete than they would with another student? In the sense that we talked a little bit about the panic that they're getting behind and that they're not going to catch up. That cycle of panic that happens. If the teacher could tell them, no, that's okay, you're right on track. You're absolutely right on track. Wouldn't that help?
Well, you bring up several excellent points. The first is that in general, for a student going into college with ADD, the more hands-on attention that you can get, the better. So in general, smaller class sizes will trump your large freshman auditorium seminar classes any day, because then you can get that one-on-one attention, that hands-on attention that you need to know, am I on track? Am I going in the right direction? Or it's much easier to focus in a class that has 20 to 30 students than one that has 200, 300, or even 400 students. In addition to that, although it's hard, particularly in college, for a professor to cater their teaching style to any one student, the more hands-on the courses, the more that the student is going to tinker with something and move things around, try things on their own, problem solve, and even be challenged, but challenged in a way where they can do stuff and try stuff, the more likely they are to get it, to grab onto the concept, and then to really run with it.
Your last chapter, your conclusion, be a student of your life, sounds so wonderfully hopeful. I'm wondering if you could share with our listeners what you're thinking at the end of your book.
I'm thinking wonderfully hopeful thoughts. I'm thinking that there really are no limits in life, that we can achieve greatness, we can do almost anything that we set our minds or our hearts to, as long as we're willing to try, to tinker with our minds, and to be willing to do things in different ways. So I think we all come here with a gift wrapped around our heart, with something that we can be tremendously good at and that we're very passionate about. It's our job to discover our gift and then to go with it with all of our hearts, souls, and mights. And if we do that, any challenge that comes in our way, as long as we stay following our passion, we're able to look at, step back from, understand, tinker with, and then to overcome. So I am tremendously hopeful. I think we're all tremendously creative minds, whether you call us ADD or XYZ, and I'm talking about everybody, general population included. Once we're able to step back and say, well, how can I do this? I want to achieve in this way. Isn't there any way I can do it? Then whether you've been told you're bad at math or you can't do languages or anything, you can find a way to work with your mind and overcome those difficulties.
And it seems to me that the ADD folks that I've known are also very sensitive folks. And when you say that you can't do math, they tend to take it really, really to heart. I mean, even more than normal. Thin-skinned is another way of putting it. So that encouragement must be equally vital to counteracting that sensitivity, I would think.
Encouragement is both essential, and we need it in more frequent, maybe smaller doses, maybe bigger is great too, but we need it in very frequent doses, because it's easy for us to get off track and for us to look at our skewed mirror, kind of like that mirror you see in a hall of mirrors at your local county fair, and to say, well, I'm a screw-up, I'm worthless, I can't do math, I can't do this. Whereas if you have somebody touching base with you on a frequent basis and saying, no, you can do it, look at what you're achieving, look at how you're doing, or you have professors or mentors at school who are helping give you these positive messages, then you can keep yourself on track. The trouble is, I don't look at it so much as that we're thin-skinned, although I do think we tend to be very plugged into our environment and things around us. When it comes to ourselves, we've heard the negative messages so many times, but it's very easy for somebody to prove us wrong about being a good person and to prove us right about being a bad person. So when you hear the positive once or twice, you're like, yeah, whatever. But then you hear the negative 1 out of 1,000 times and you go, yep, you're right. You see, I am a screw-up.
One little housekeeping question, Michael. Do you draw a differentiation between ADD and ADHD?
Oh, yes. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use the tools for one as for other, because I think the tools are helpful for everybody. It's about finding what works for you, and ADD is a very individual thing.